Great to meet you all. So I'm joined by Jagan Reddy. My name is Jen Newcomb. I've spent most of my career working in revenue accounting. So I've lived the reality that many of you deal with every day. And right now, there is a real tension happening between finance organizations and the business. Business models are evolving very quickly due to customer demands. We saw it start 10 years ago with monetizing through subscriptions. And now we're seeing a lot of usage-based pricing, AI consumption, hybrid bundles, a lot of things that are causing a lot of revenue complexity downstream. And while customers expect that flexibility and it is becoming essential for growth, most finance systems were never designed to support that level of complexity. So what ends up happening is the accounting team becomes the one carrying the complexity manually, and contracts get reviewed one by one. Revenue schedules get reconciled across multiple systems. Teams spend late nights during those close chasing answers through spreadsheets and reports. And at the same time, every software vendor is talking about AI, but many finance leaders are asking the same question that I've been asking, like, where does AI actually fit inside revenue accounting? We've seen chatbots, we've seen Claude, we use ChatGPT, but what specifically about revenue accounting? How can it actually help our accountants? And I have good news for you. There is an ideal fit for this within revenue accounting. And to help us answer where, I'm excited to introduce someone who has spent his career solving this exact challenge. Jagan Reddy is the founder and CEO of RightRev and widely known in the industry as the godfather of revenue recognition. He helped shape how modern revenue accounting systems are built, and today he's helping define where AI belongs in the finance stack. Jagan, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Jen. Next slide. I want to talk about how the AI hype is now meeting the revenue reality. Right now, the market is flooded with AI. Every software company is introducing new AI capabilities and adding AI features to their platforms. But finance teams are experiencing a very different reality. Revenue operations are becoming dramatically more complex as you strive to be first customer or customer first. Customers expect flexibility in how they buy and consume products. They want subscriptions, usage-based pricing, consumption models, and bundle offerings, sometimes all within the same contract. That flexibility is great for customers and great for growth, but it also creates enormous operational complexity for finance teams. Most legacy finance teams were never designed to handle these modern monetization models correctly. As a result, the complexity doesn't disappear, it simply shifts onto the accounting team, resulting in a patchwork of manual or custom coded RevRec. Revenue accountants spend significant time reviewing contracts manually, investigating revenue variances after the fact, and reconciling answers across multiple systems. This is exactly where AI should be able to help. But for AI to work in finance, it has to do something very different what most AI tools are not designed to do. It has to produce correct financial outcomes every time to pass audits. Financial systems require results that are explainable, governed, and should be traceable back to the source data. And that requires something most AI tools don't have today. They don't have the complete financial context. And that's where the revenue ledger becomes incredibly important. Next slide. The key insight is that AI in finance only works when it operates on top of the contract correct financial foundation where all financial context lives. Most AI tools in finance are applied on top of fragmented systems. They can analyze reports, they can summarize data, they can generate a lot of insights for you, but they don't operate where the financial logic is actually executed. Revenue recognition is different. This is the layer where financial context converges across contracts, pricing models, usage activity, billing transactions, and then the complete financial reporting. It's where the system determines how revenue should be treated and ultimately reflected in financial results. When AI operates inside the revenue subledger, it has access to the complete financial picture. That allows it to do something far more powerful than simply generating insights. It can actually execute revenue workflows correctly and consistently. That architectural foundation is what allows AI to work reliably in finance. RightRev was built to solve this foundation first. We were solving all the complexities. We are bringing all the data sources. We are We are orchestrating the complete workflow to get the use cases automated. And because that foundation is already in place, AI becomes a natural extension of the platform. And that's what this week. Next slide, Jen, back to you.
Great. Next slide. There we go. Now that we've talked about where AI actually belongs in the finance stack, let's see what it looks like in practice. Meet Revi. Revi is RightRev's governed AI platform directly inside the revenue subledger. It is designed to help finance teams at any stage of their AI maturity automate revenue workflows, access revenue intelligence instantly, and adapt revenue policies as their business evolves. It does that through three core capabilities: Revi agents, Revi Assistant, and Revi Architect. Revi agents automate repetitive revenue tasks at scale. These are the kinds of workflows that revenue teams spend hours on today, reviewing contracts, investigating anomalies, validating revenue schedules. With Revi agents, those tasks are executed automatically in the system. Instead of accountants performing the work step by step, the system prepares the results and the team reviews and approves them. Revi Assistant is for those just embarking on their AI journey and provides conversational access to revenue intelligence directly from the revenue subledger. Finance teams can ask questions about revenue outcomes and receive clear, consistent answers grounded in the actual financial data. Instead of reconciling reports across multiple systems, teams can ask a question and immediately understand what happened and why. Revi Architect is for those advanced in their AI adoption and allows for finance teams to design revenue rules and policies without writing code. Whether it's a new pricing model, a complex revenue contract structure, or an unusual edge case, teams can simulate revenue outcomes and deploy new logic through a built-in simulator. This allows financial teams to support new monetization models without waiting on engineering or rebuilding workflows manually. Together, agents, assistant, and architect allow finance teams to automate the work, understand the outcomes, and adopt AI as their business evolves. But the reason Revi works is where many other AI tools struggle, and it comes down to something deeper. It's the architecture behind it. We can go to the next slide. Thank you.
So revenue recognition is still at the core of what we do. That's the inner circle that you see in this picture, which we have been doing from day one of RightRev. We automate all the complex use cases. We solve the end-to-end, the accounting requirements. But because we are already reading your contracts, your billing and invoicing data, and revenue events, we have built something powerful on top of it. And that's a rich context layer that captures the intelligence behind decisions that used to live in memos, spreadsheets, and tribal knowledge. That deterministic context layer is what makes our AI actually work. It powers agents, assistants, and architects that go far beyond traditional revenue automation, giving you the ability to fully solve every use case and not just the ones that fit neatly into a template. And that includes the complex edge cases that have historically required manual workarounds or custom logic. Next slide. Most AI tools being introduced into finance today are built on top of fragmented systems. They analyze reports or summarize data, but they don't operate where the financial logic actually lives. That's why they often struggle to produce outcomes that finance teams can trust. Revi is different because it operates inside the revenue ledger itself and where the full financial context already exists. First, it's deterministic. This means Revi produces consistent outcomes based on rules. It can be probabilistic, meaning answers are probable and change every time. Deterministic outcomes are aligned with defined revenue policies. Every result is fully traceable back to source data, making it audit ready and reliable for financial reporting. Second, it's governed. So human evaluation and approvals are built directly into the workflow, ensuring finance teams maintain control over financial outcomes while automation handles the repetitive work. AI can be left to operate on its own in your finance stack. Third, it's context aware. Because Revi operates inside the revenue engine, it has access to the complete financial picture across contracts, pricing models, usage activity, billing, and reporting. That allows it to catch issues before they impact the P&L and deliver answers that reflect the true financial state of the business. This architecture allows finance teams to accelerate the close identify issues earlier, and scale revenue operations without constantly rebuilding processes as monetization models evolve. And because Revi operates from the full revenue context, it can handle the edge cases that typically force teams back into manual. Without the foundation in place, Revi allows finance teams to automate every mile, first or last, of the revenue workflow. So from the first contract review or RevRec requirement critical for your business to the final revenue outcome with precision and control. And Revi is designed to literally automate with a single prompt. You can really automate your edge use cases. And today, when we encounter edge use cases, you end up doing it in spreadsheet or building a custom solution. And that's where the architect comes into play, where it can clearly, based on your requirement, can completely automate all of this. Next slide, Jen.
Perfect. Revi agents automate some of the most time-consuming revenue accounting workflows. I wish I had these when I was a revenue accountant. I used to burn the midnight oil doing all of this manually. It's very time-consuming, it's prone to human error, and it has a very high cognitive load. And these are activities that your incredibly intelligent revenue accountants could be using their time better spent on being a partner to the business instead of living in these manual processes. So, for example, the contract review agent automatically reviews agreements, extracts key terms, identifies performance obligations, and generates audit-ready documentation. So instead of manually reviewing contracts and filling templates, accountants review the AI-prepared outputs. This was my entire job at one point in my ASC 605 days, just reviewing hundreds of pages of contracts, hoping that my tired eyes and mind caught the revenue risk embedded in those contracts. I would have loved to have something like this to be sort of that sidekick or that partner to help me do that part of my job. Another example is the Anomaly Detector agent, which continuously scans revenue schedules and flags unexpected variances before they impact financial reporting. This shifts revenue teams from being reactive investigators to having proactive oversight. And now I will pass it to Jagan to demo these in action.
Thank you, Jen. I'm just pulling up my share here. Let me know if I screen my visible.
Looks good.
Very good. We talked about a few different AI capabilities that we're bringing with AI, Revi AI. One of them is a pre-built agents that we're deploying. The first one is we're going to look at is our contract review agent. A contract review agent is super cool, where it can read your PDF documents, it can immediately analyze your PDF documents. You can create your checklist on what do you want to really validate on your contract, and it can match with all the data that's sitting within RightRev as well, and kind of give you what checklist is getting passed and what's failing. It can go through that. So for example, I'll just go through a contract that we uploaded, or let's upload a new contract. So we'll come and talk about the templates and all of that. I'm just going to do a file upload straight here. I'm going to pick up a contract that's already loaded. It just extracts the text, and this text is not useful right now, but I'm going to click on the analyze the contract. So this is basically taking a PDF contract, extracting all the text within the contract, and it's going to analyze and produce the results that shows what are the different checklists that you as a user you want to have to be cross-checked with the contract and with the data within the RightRev. It can cross-verify everything and give you a complete list of what is pass and what is fail and what action items we need to check. While this contract is getting analyzed, we're just uploading a file manually here, but the same files you can configure the storage sources. So if you're hosting these documents in a S3 bucket, or is it in a Google Drive or in a box folder, you can always come back here and configure your storage sources. As and when the new documents are getting added, our contract review agent can easily pull all the documents, do all this analysis for you, and keep everything ready. And it will also point out any issues with that. So this is the document it has analyzed right now, and it has done a 15 checklist review. We look at the checklist, what it's looking at it. 4 is failed, 10 is passed. You can see your PDF documents here. I'm going to reduce the size of the screen so it's a little bit visible for anybody who wants to see. The PDF documents is completely visible. It'll also show all the data that it's extracting. And the checklist that you see here, this checklist is all completely configurable, and you can provide the system what do you want to review, and it's a simple prompt that you can provide for checklist. We'll look into that. Now the system has reviewed the document. It will it would have gone through every checklist on the PDF, and it will give you a pass or fail or what's happening here, and it gives the right context of why it thinks this checklist has passed. And if it's failed, it's going to say the system has failed on certain checklist, and it will flag it as fail. You can do an escalation to somebody to review, but the failed items are automatically added to the user's action review box, so they can go and look at it, like what are the action items they have. Instead of going through every contract, there is a central inbox where they can go and look at it. Whichever ones has failed, they can look at it and they can resolve them, or they can change it. And even here, if you want to switch from, okay, I want to ignore this and I want to pass through, you can put a comment here, and it's a mandatory comment. It will be recorded from a log perspective why you're passing this thing. So this is a simple contract review. It's a very powerful one, but it's super easy to set up and have this run through all the contracts that you have in the system. So now if I go back to the contract review here, you can see the contract has been processed here, and we have uploaded it directly. I can manually attach from here. I can attach it to a particular revenue contract within RightRev, or I can even attach it from the contract, this document, and it will automatically go through the review process as well. If writer can identify when it's reading the PDF, it knows what is the revenue contract it needs to attach, it will automatically attach for you so that you don't need to do this manually. But in this demo, I just attached it manual. And from here, you can directly load your contract as well. And you can review side by side. You can review your PDF document here, and you have the writer revenue contract. So you can look at it side by side, like how this document and the contract looks alike. And even in the contract, if I go here at the documents, you will see I just attached this document, and you will see this is attached into the revenue contract. From here, I can once again launch the review as well. It's bi-directional. You can look at it. Now, going back into the contract review, quickly, I'll show other things. The checklist config, you can go and config all your checklists, what you want to do. First, you can create the templates. You can create as many templates you need. And when you load the file, you can specify what templates it needs to check. And within the template, we have all these different checks to be created. This is the template we have applied to that particular contract. You as a user, with a simple prompt, you can ask for any checklist to be created, and the system will know what to check on the PDF automatically. You can flag what category of checklist this is. And then if it fails, these are some of the standard roles within RightRev. You can say if it fails, which role should get this notified, and it will be in their inbox. If it fails, they can review that as well. Now on a Revi action items, this is the user inbox, and this is where it will show anything that's failed. It's going to have a list of, if I'm the role that's been assigned, it's going to show clearly that I need to look into it, and it will have the agent that's producing this action item. So there can be hundreds of agents producing action items for the user, and this is one central inbox for the users where the agents are asking human to review this, and it will automatically show which agent is producing and the severity, and the users can take action. And from here, they can say whether they are fixing the issues or not. They can check and make it resolved from right here. And that's from our contract review agent perspective. Now, the next agent that we want to talk about is an anomaly detector agent. And this agent allows us to define any rule that's available in the system to automatically create any kind of data validation that you want to do. You can go and do that. It's like super easy to set up a rule with automatic AI can do all that. Like for in this example, I put up a prompt to say flag transactions with any negative balances, or we can even say I want to find I want to flag POBs with no SSP values. So when you do this, the system is automatically creating a rule that can automatically find any POBs that doesn't have SSP. Now, the beauty of this rule is the rule can be built and it's a live agent. You can schedule this live agent. So I'm just going to go back and come back in here later. You can you can schedule when you create these rules, you can clearly schedule the rules. I'm going to call it as daily validations, and I'm going to create a rule set. This rule set is existing. I'll call it as test. I will go back to my rules. And when you give a prompt like this, and this is what it creates, it will create a rule and it creates a SQL behind it. And the SQL basically shows I can go and find the anomalies in the system, and the rule will be active. Now, the beauty is when the rule is a live agent rule, and when it's building, finding any transactions that are having issues, it's automatically going to take all that errors and start putting it in the action items for users to review. There can be certain action items that the agent can look into it and automatically resolve. But if there are things that need human in the loop, it is going to put back into the inbox for the users to take an action on those rules. The anomaly detector agent is super powerful. You can create 100 or 200 types of different anomaly rules that you need, and you can have the agent automatically take action for you on. The next one we are going to talk about is our architect agent. The architect agent is much more powerful, where you can define your workflows and you can define your processes to automate your edge use cases. So what does that mean? Today we have a workflow to process any orders or contracts that coming into RightRev. We have a workflow defined that goes through certain processes step by step. And for each processes that you define here, you will be able to create any special use cases, and those use cases, how do we automate that? We support a lot of use cases within out of the box like we provided, but there are certain use cases that's not available out of the box, but then you still want automated. So how do you do it? So now I'm here in a use case right now here, and I'm looking at the context. This use case is already created, but I'm going to create one new as well. As a user, I want to recognize revenue looking at all the Tuesdays within my contract terms and spread the revenue across the number of use days within the contract terms. So this is one of the use case we found in a media customer where they sell the media, the advertisement windows for Tuesdays at a lower price. So the end customer is buying an advertisement slot for Tuesdays for a minute on every Tuesday. So that now the customer, now they want to automate this use case saying, take the entire contract value and spread it across all the Tuesdays within the contract terms. So we put the prompt and then you go to the next step and you can quickly test how this will work. So for example, I'm going to say $10,000 and I'm going to put a date here and I'm going to run a quick test. The quick test, and here's the prompt that we created. And the quick test will automatically run this and show you a quick results to say, here's the total dollar value that you input and the start date and end date. And it will show like every month, it's recognizing revenue evenly across how many Tuesdays in that month. It finds that and it recognizes the revenue for the total $10,000. So now you review this, it all looks good in the first run, it's a quick run. This is not saved in the log or anywhere as an audit log. This is just for the user to run a quick test. But then now, how do I put this into action in real time? Now, the next step we enforce the users to do is go through the simulation process. So we are forcing at least minimum 5 simulations need to be executed, reviewed, and approved. And once those 5 are approved, then you can take this use case and make it active to run through your live transactions. So now when you run your simulations, you can try with different values, different dates, and then the system is going to produce all these results. You can review it, and then you can approve. Once you review all the 5 simulations, then this use case goes into the approval process, and that's where it says like it's activated, you can do that. Now, let me go into this particular another context that we created here. Um, this is once again, we are saying spread revenue evenly across contract terms, which is a very simple requirement. And but I want to recognize the full month if my start date and end period are partial periods. Like what if I start on 10th of the month? I don't want daily revenue on the first month. I want to still take the full month revenue. This is one kind of use case we have seen. And now for this one, once again, I can test with the same use case here. So now I'm going to give a different date with a partial date on both sides. And I'm going to say, like both sides are partial periods, and then I run a quick test. Now the system kind of walks you through, even though the first month is a partial period, it'll still give the full month revenue to the first month, and every month gets the same revenue. And then at the end, the last month also gets the same, even though it's a partial month on 18th, it gets a full month. And you can see there's a small reduction in the revenue because it's automatically adjusts for any rounding when you're spreading the revenue. It adjusts at the end of the period. And then now the results are looking great. We go into the simulation. And now I want to add a simulation where I'm going to say across years. I want to test sometimes like how does this work if I spread across multiple years. So I'm having this, once again, I put a dollar value for my simulation, and I'm going to say 5/10/2026, and I'm going to go to the next year, and I'm going to say March 10, 2027, and I run a simulation. So like this, you can run minimum 5 simulations here, and this is where we are enabling users to simulate with the use case that we are automating with the AI. It automatically generates whatever the code and everything that's required to automate this use case, and we are bringing human in the loop to validate all the results that are being produced by this new use case that we are designing. And if this looks good, you're going to approve, and you can put your comments. I'm going to skip it for now. It's not super important. Now, 2 of 5 is approved. So you can run 3 more, and then finally you can activate this particular simulation. Now, as you go through different kind of use cases and automate, you can run these use cases for multiple different processes, like you're processing an order you can do, or you are going to process the invoice. If you have any edge use cases there, you can say like how you want to process those invoices within RightRev, or if you're processing any usage events, you can still do the same. And when you go into into this workflows, there are different processes, and for each processes, you can set up these rules how you want to drive that. And that's our architect that allows you to do any kind of edge use case automation. It's a very super powerful one. And the final demo that we are going to show is our Revi Assistant, which can answer any kind of questions that you have with the full chatbot, full functionality of explaining anything you need on your contracts and everything. So for an example, this is some of um, the the chats that we have been working, and I've been asking the system to say like explain me something, right? I said like write me a summary for this particular contract, and the quick summary will talk about like give a complete detail of like who is the customer, how many contract modifications it has gone through, what is the contract value, like what is the shift that's happening in the contract value. And you can see this goes to the SSP allocations, and it clearly walks you through how many versions have changed, and it has gone from retrospective to prospective. It kind of gives you a complete rundown of what are the changes happened in the contract. It gives you also like every metric that's available in this contract. It gives you a complete write up on this. And it also shows you the timeline of how the contract has evolved, in which period and what have been added, and gives you the current version, what's happening. So there's a lot of information you can do. And then follow up, I'm also asking, show me, I want to see the deferred revenue roll forward for this particular contract. And it can give you a very super good way of showing how the deferred revenue has been changing for this contract. There's multiple views it's provide, but I like this view where it says in February there was nothing in the beginning. This is the inception of the contract. We added a billings in that month, and how much we recognize and what is your ending balance, and it shows what is the net change to your deferred balance. And then in the next month, it walks you through, okay, this is your beginning balance, how much you recognize. It kind of goes through step by step and walks through this process. Now, to get this information, today the user has to go run the report. Sometimes the report may not have all the data points what you need. So you change the report, um, and you have to click on it and run it every time. Now with this revenue intelligence that we are bringing in with our Revi Assistant, you can ask any questions in any format you need, and it can start answering all the different questions that you ask with all the metrics that we have. And we looked at the next question, like I'm just giving you some examples so you can understand what are the things that the users can analyze on the contract. Now I say like I want to understand the unbilled revenue. So it basically walks through like this does not have an unbilled revenue, but it has a contract asset, and it walks through like what's happening with that particular contract. So I'll just go through a little bit more in detail here, and it clearly shows you the same period by period moment and what's happening with all this metric. So and we also have multiple agents attached to this. So what that means is I want to um, sometimes look at all the errors in the system. I want a very specific answer on the errors. You can even ask questions about from our error agent as well. So for example, I can go to the new one, I can go to the error analyzer and say, show me errors recently created. So this kind of prompts can easily run, and I already have it, something that while this is analyzing what it needs to read and provide us an answer for this, you can easily look into this. It'll even guide you, like, do you want me to reprocess some errors and everything? And you can see like it generates its own code in the back end, and it will try to execute it, and it's going to, if it doesn't find something, like in this case it can say like I can find something, I'm going to a longer period to see is there more data that was created, is there old data there, so it's going to pull up all the data.
Jagan, while that's pulling up the data, this is so incredible. I've seen you demo this internally several times, and every time it blows my mind. I I only could have dreamed of having this 10 years ago. It's every single piece is amazing, and it just shows how innovative you and your entire product team are and have been for, the last decade and a half. It's really great.
Absolutely, John. So now we looked at it, it got all the errors that it was able to read everything in the system, and it says like there are future data transactions, there are six transactions, and it kind of lists down some of the errors here, and it says like there are two errors, some of them are remediable, some of them are discarded, right? And I can say, can you reprocess these errors? And the agent can analyze and say, yes, I can reprocess, or in some cases it's going to say, maybe I can reprocess, this is some upstream data, maybe you need to go fix it and bring it in. So the agent is very interactive. It's not just a chat bot where you only ask questions and it answers. It can allow you to take some actions as well. It can go automatically fix certain things if it knows the context, and if it knows how to fix it, it will fix it automatically. But it still keeps the human in the loop so that you know exactly what you're doing. So here you can say like I can, this is eligible for process, I can easily do this. There are certain things I can eligible. That means here this is the invoice ID. It says invoice already exists, I can reprocess because it will become duplicate invoice, so I'm not going to process this. And then it gives you an option what to do next. So it's a very, and it also provides you what can be your next question or action it can take, and you can guide it. This is like kind of any other chatbots that you see in ChatGPT or any other tools that you use. It follows up with a lot of questions what it can do. And this can happen only when the AI is living in the revenue subledger, where it knows all the context and it can really drive that process end to end. So with that, I will return back the sharing back to Lucas.
It was so great, Jagan. Thank you for doing that demo, and thank you for doing that live. I think it shows our attendees that this is a real piece of AI, that it actually works and it is being utilized in our system to do some really incredible things. So thank you. And everyone else, what you just saw in the demo, it really does translate to very real operational impact for finance teams. And it's something that everyone can use. I'm watching the chat and I'm seeing some comments now about the contract review agent. I could use that today. I completely understand that, and it's that the impact is very real. But it's very important that teams have transparent AI that is deterministic, which means it has consistent answers. And I think you saw that with Joggins back and forth with the agents as well. And whether the business introduces subscriptions, usage-based pricing, hybrid models, or AI consumption models, the revenue system needs to be able to support that flexibility without forcing the finance teams back into manual processes. So allowing the business to grow while the systems support it and not breaking the back end. And the impact to companies is that they are able to monetize anything with confidence because they do have the systems and the AI in place that can support that. And really what we talked about earlier is we're going to now catch issues before they hit the P&L. Previously, it was, we're backwards looking, we're looking at everything that has already happened. Now you're able to really truly be forward looking and with that continuous monitoring and anomaly detection. And Revi helps teams get consistent answers because the AI operates directly within the revenue subledger and follows defined revenue policies. Every explanation and outcome is grounded in the same financial context. Teams are no longer reconciling different reports or debating which number is correct. And the end result is fewer errors, faster closes, and stronger audit readiness. A couple of the prompts that Jagan was giving, I immediately went back to my days of being in part of the audit process and the questions that those auditors would ask you. And now you have this Revi Assistant who can actually help you in that process. And finance teams gain the ability to scale revenue operations while maintaining that precision and control that financial reporting truly demands. So yes, very incredible, John, and thank you for doing that. And now we are going to go into Q&A. There's a ton of really great questions. We might not be able to get to all of these, but I'll see what I can do. All right, let me kind of start from the top. Jagan, what are you seeing finance teams applying, or sorry, where are you seeing finance teams applying AI today?
The most common use case that we're seeing today where AI is being used is a lot into insights. So like we talked about before, um, they're connecting the AI chatbots and any insight that AI can provide into their financial data. And most of the time, they're asking the AI to extract insights because it's been a very cumbersome process for users. They have to go run a lot of reports, drill down to find their answers and everything. Now, with the AI chatbots, with super intelligence, they're able to connect their to the source data and kind of ask a lot of questions. But the pain is the data is like fragmented into different systems. Whether they get the complete picture of the answer or they get partial answer depends on where they're connecting to. And that's one reason when a systems like Revenue Subledger comes in, the revenue subledgers cannot operate without the full context of the data. We need like contracts, we need orders, billings, usage data, everything. So that's where the AI embedding within the revenue subledger is much more powerful to give answer. Now, one is the insight. Let me go back to your question. To get a lot more insights into the business data is where AI is being used. And second, we're seeing a lot of this month-end close process where they can automate like intercompany journals, reconciling certain systems. We see there are tools out there that are helping. And the third one is a lot of document AI. Like we talked about today, how you can upload a PDF and you can do a revenue checklist. This has been a super manual work, and there are tools that can help you read the PDF and do like certain data validations and a contract review. We kind of see these are the areas it's pretty much used.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Jagan. Along that same thread, the next question is, what concerns do CFOs have about AI in accounting workflows?
I think the biggest concern I would say is it deterministic or not? I think that's the biggest concern because everything else sits behind it, like whether it's traceable, do you have the proper logging mechanism, all that. But the most important thing is if I'm going to put AI to you can do insights. Even insights needs to be deterministic, don't take me wrong. But more than insights, if you're going to embed AI within your processing logic and the workflow, it has to be 100% right every time when it does. And I think that's the biggest concern And I don't see the finance team having enough comfort level going down that path. And that's one of the biggest problem that we have solved with our own rev flow, which sits behind Revi today, which makes sure the guardrails are set, the swim lanes are set. It knows what path it has to take every time it needs to take an action. It always follows the swim lane. It can't go in any other direction. And this is the confidence we're bringing back to the CFOs and the finance team. You can 100% trust you're going to get the same answers and same outputs as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Deterministic and governable. I know when I type things into ChatGPT, sometimes it'll give me a different answer depending on how I word the prompt. That is not what you want when it comes to your financial reporting. All right, thank you for that. All right, we'll do a couple more questions. There are several questions in here. We're not going to be able to get to all of these. I'll just go with the next one in here. Is this all SOC compliant, and is there an audit trail tracking all of these approvals?
Extra, absolutely yes. So like you saw, like that when users are put back into action, they need to approve something. It's completely auditable. Anything that the AI is doing is completely logged into our audit logs, and it's going to be visible in our audit traces as well. So the audit team will be able to. Funny thing is, even audit have a chatbot within our tool where they can ask a question: What's happening? What are the things changed automatically by AI? What's been changed by AI automatically? And what users are changing manually as well. So it's completely traceable in the system.
Yep. And I just scrolled down to another question that I think you just answered, and I kind of touched on a little bit earlier. It looks like the Revi Assistant could help with asking an auditor questions. Is that something that it will have enough context to answer? And I think the short answer to that is yes, absolutely it does. And that's what it's going to be used for a lot, right?
Absolutely, yes. I think most of the auditors are looking for, you know, what are the manual changes have been done by the users in this quarter, right? Can I review some of the top value contracts and then go through? We went through the contract review checklist. Um, the auditors can even create their own audit checklist in our agent and basically say, for every contract, from an audit perspective, I want you to review the following things. So they're not doing manual. They come in, they look at it, they can easily figure out, okay, for this contract, the checklist have gone through fine, and these are the contracts that are failing. So they can really focus on only the contracts that are failing.
Yep, that's perfect. Probably one or two more questions, and I just found one on MCP, which I think is really important to understand the architecture behind the AI that you and your team has built. Does RightRev support the Model Context Protocol, MCP, for standardized AI to tool communication?
Yes. So MCP is going to be supported very soon, and there's going to be a separate launch for MCP where we will be showcasing how you can connect that for different use cases. Most of the people are using MCP just to pull data to answer questions, but we are going far and beyond that to say like how you can use MCP to really architect your end-to-end use case. I can even give more examples, but just wait for that MCP launch that's coming up pretty soon.
All right, and we'll do one more question that I think is pretty easy to answer. The agent will never action without my approval first. Is that correct?
You can set it up that way if you want. Like most of the agents that you saw in our demo today, like if you're using an agent to architect your use case, it's not going to act without your approval. But once you approved, you looked at the data and you said, yes, this looks good. The agent has already set up that rule and it's going to start working on every transaction, what it's doing.
Perfect. Okay, I think that's all the time we have for questions, but we will try to follow up on some of the other ones offline. And if we can just go up to our wrap up in the next slide. Thank you, Lucas. So to close, there are three ideas that we hope you take away from today. First, AI in finance must be governed and audit ready. Financial outcomes need to be deterministic, explainable, and fully traceable. We talked about that a lot today. You saw that with Jagan's demo. Second, the revenue ledger is where the full financial context of the business comes together across contracts, pricing, usage, billing, and reporting. And third, Revi brings AI directly into that environment, enabling finance teams to automate revenue workflows safely while supporting modern monetization models. And with that, Jagan, I will pass it over to you.
Yeah, thank you once again for everybody joining us for this webinar. We just showed a glimpse of Revi. We didn't go super deep dive. If you're a customer and you would like to be part of our beta release, reach out to us. You're a prospect, happy to come back and show you a full-blown demo of what Revi can do the magic for you. And partners, reach out to Jen. You always talk to Jen and she'll be happy to more deep dive on Revi. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much, everyone.